Good morning, friends. I am out in the garden bright and early this morning. That's the way it's going to be for the majority of this summer season. I think we're expecting a pretty hot one. So my morning chores are usually early in the morning. It's like 7 a.m., maybe not even quite 7 yet, or late in the evening, like right at sunset. And honestly, you don't want to fool with your plants too much during the heat of the day anyway, so me just setting up that habit is just a good ritual to get into. That being said, planning a hot summer, we were gone for the Memorial Day weekend over at our cabin. I'm sure there'll be a video either before this one or right after this one sharing that getaway with you guys. But a lot of Michigan Memorial Day weekend had a freeze warning, and like freeze up to a frost warning, frost to freeze. And I wasn't too worried about it. Looking at my forecast, it looked like the lowest of lows was going to be like 43. And the only thing that, like, I think when I saw the warning and looked at the map when I was away this weekend, I was like, ooh, my sweet potatoes. That's the only thing I was really worried about. Todd convinced me, Rachel, they're probably going to be fine because they're really protected from that hay. You know, they're still hadn't grown much since I planted them out. Hold on, I need a sip of coffee. They hadn't really grown up out of the hay too much, but I don't know if I've lost them all, but it certainly looks like a lot of them died. And that's such a bummer because if you missed that video, or the whole series really, it was my first year growing my own slips or starts. And I think I'm going to watch them for this week because I still have 120 to 130 days in my growing season, and sweet potatoes need anywhere from 90 to 110 days. So I'm going to give them this week to see if there's any evidence of them coming back. I'll show you what they look like now. And if I don't see any evidence of them coming back, then I'm probably going to go see if I can't pick up some starts. But I have some chores I need to do out here in the garden today, and I'm just going to share that with you. I need to get tomatoes staked up clipped up. I need to fertilize my tomatoes. It's been well over 2 weeks since I planted those out. I need to fertilize my onions, and some of those baby onions are not looking good. So I think I'm going to do a good dose of fertilization, water them in well with some fish emulsion diluted, and everything else is looking pretty good. So I think it's just a generic watering this morning. But I know a lot of you are wanting to see inside the greenhouse tents how the brassicas are doing. Some of you don't even know what I'm growing in there. I get lots of questions on those every single time I do a gardening season, so I'll give you a sneak peek in there. All right, so first off, fertilizing tomatoes. This year I went easy. I picked up some of those tomato fertilizer spikes, and that's what I'm going to be putting in. So when I planted these out over 2 weeks ago now, they just got planted in with an all-purpose slow-release Job's tomato vegetable. Nope, it was down to earth BioLive fertilizer, and a good helping of compost slurry for each tomato plant. Now, these, they say put them at 2 per plant. I don't have that many. I only have 36. So I think I'm just going to randomly plug them in between each tomato and see if that doesn't give them just enough. They're doing great though. So let's go take a look. So probably something that you don't know that I did was, I don't know if you can peek in here. Get this little guy out of my way. Scooch. See right down here? I planted a sunflower in front of each stake just because I thought it would be fun and pretty. So as you can see, this guy is huge. well above the trellis now. Has some nice little tomato blooms on them. Actually, even the first tomato fruit. That's fun. So we're gonna get him staked up. But I'm gonna go through here, and I think I have 15 on each row. So let me just give one per plant, and we'll put in some random ones elsewhere. It says to put them in about 6 inches away from the stem. So that's what we're doing. 1 inch below soil level. I think I got it there. Yep. I get asked by people often, Rachel, how do you water your garden? This is how I'm watering my garden. Once everything gets really standing up good, I do have a like 360 swivel point sprinkler system that I'll put up in the center of the garden, and it reaches everything. And I tend to rely on that more, set on a timer when I'm out of town. But for now, I just am hand watering everything. So this is going to take me a while. Let me get a couple of these tomatoes clipped up for you guys, and I'll show you the system I'm using this year, which is new for me. So just have a handful of these because I think that's all I'll need for today. They are just a little plastic clip, and you can tighten them kind of different. I've used them like on my honeysuckle vine growing up over the arbor already, and I really like them. So you just put it around the stem, and I'll bring you guys down here so you can see. And you clip it. You can get it in there. There you go. There you go. And that's simple. It still has plenty of space where it can grow up. I don't know if you guys were observing while I was watering. I've been going through, as I'm watering, pinching off suckers. And lower branches as the plants are growing. They're still trying to put off baby branches. So that one's clipped up. I have a few more that need to be tied up, not too many, so I'll go around and get that done. And then we will move on to fertilizing our corn and onions. One thing to note is these are all indeterminate tomatoes, so I chose to start my trellises 18 inches off the ground. And as you can see, for the most part, up to 18 inches, they can support themselves well enough. It's once they get above that point, they start getting top heavy and need some support. See if I can't get you guys a closer up view of getting it done. Bring that around. So it just kind of has this little click in spot, and you can choose whichever one you want to click it into. In the past, I've only ever used, there we go, things like baling wire, Velcro tape, and that kind of stuff. But look at these baby tomatoes. That's exciting. This is one of my cherries. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this row, and then we are going to get to the onions and corn. Okay, so for my onions and my corn, I'm using ammonia sulfate because it's what I have on hand. It's just a high all-purpose nitrogen fertilizer, and I'm just sprinkling it between the rows. And then for the corn, I'll do the same. As you can see, the strawbill gardens are looking great. I have my first zucchini blossom. Super excited. The peppers that were grown in a cluster are so far loving it. I did suffer some, I'll pull a leaf off so you can see it, some frost damage on my cucumbers that were on the north side of the bales because I guess it was a north wind while we were gone, but the cucumbers on the south side of the bales are fine. But this is what the frost damage looks like. Just kind of wind burned a little bit. So let's head back. Let me show you the sweet potato status, and then I'm gonna wrap up. I've got tomatoes along the back fence that I need to clip up and finish watering the garden, but I won't bore you guys with all that. You've seen the bits and parts. So let's head back and take a look at those sweet potatoes. So some are, you guys are too far away. I think the sun is coming. Let me see if I can put you guys this way. I almost forgot to show you guys inside the tent, so let's go take a peek. But before we do that, these are the itty bitty onions that I started when my Dixondales kind of died off on me. And they're starting to develop little bulbs, but they are still super tiny. Some are definitely up to 3 leaves per plant, but they're just struggling. I'm not familiar with growing onions from tiny sets like this, or starts, so I'm learning, and we'll see if we can't make some big onions. Maybe not this year. We'll try. We're going to keep trying. But that shows you how much I do water them. I really soak them good. All right, but behind you guys is the exciting stuff. Let's take a peek. Voila! Doesn't that look good? They look great. Bring you in closer. So they are doing good. I don't get in here and weed as much, so as you can see, I've got a sunflower starting, some little weeds I need to get out. But I'm super happy, like, oh my gosh, crazy nice. So these are Brussels sprouts, red cabbages in the back. Not any damage, no bug damage other than those initial slugs, and since I put down the Sluggo, everything's great. So it's working to keep all the pests away. Well, thanks for coming out in the garden with me this morning. And I'm really happy overall with how things are going. I'm not a perfect gardener at all. I always struggle with something every single year. I always try to do something different and it ends up biting me in the butt. I don't know what it is. So like these green beans behind me are going to be my pole beans that grow up over this trellis. And this row, this little patch, gorgeous. Not a thing wrong with them. The patch behind you, ate up to high heaven by something. I have no idea what. So I sprinkle down those beneficial nematodes, hoping that it'll nip whatever it is eating my beans in the bud, and we'll just always learning. That's the great thing about gardening. There is so much to learn to build up your toolkit so that you can have success year over year. And no 2 years are ever the same. So happy learning, growing, gardening where you are. And I just encourage you not to get discouraged by the little setbacks here and there. Oh well, so I lost probably some sweet potatoes. I'll just have to go buy some and replace them. But thanks guys for coming out, and I wish you a happy week. Talk to you later.